Hey guys, welcome back. This is Val from Dreamlight. In today's quick video, I'm going to cover 3 things that make surreal art tick. 3 keys, alright? And I'm going to feature my own set called Cyber Dreams. And you can find that in my own DAZ store here, right? Cyber Dreams, currently the #1 best-selling prop at DAZ. No idea how that happens, but I'm very grateful when it does. I'm just a dude that loves 3D art, you know, guys. And so what I'm gonna do is I want to show you the 3 keys, right? I'm gonna start with #1, and that has to do with weird colors, really bright, colorful colors and shapes on top of that. So I kind of based this entire scenery around that concept, right? I made it really weird looking, both colors and shapes, all right? And you can always tweak your, items in your scene, right? Maybe you don't have sets that look weird. Well, you can always click on your props in your scene, go to the surface tab and expand there, right? And locate stuff that you can apply certain, textures to, right? Or patterns. And remember a cool thing. For instance, this one over here, let me just change the surface selection. This one here is a texture that looks like this, right? But I've tiled it 60 times to get that pattern here, right? So sometimes depending on how that particular item was made, you can tile. Not always, but in some cases you can. I'd say it's pretty much 50-50 if you can or cannot tile, textures. Sometimes they are made in different ways that do not enable tiling. So bright colors, I mean, you can always play with, colors, right? You can change the textures to different colors. You can also recolor stuff in the emission, how they glow, right? Or here on the base color, right? Regardless of what color you have here, to some degree you can manipulate it here. Remember that you cannot do too much because blue doesn't have yellow, so it will not reflect, right? This is blue and it doesn't have yellow in it, so it will not become yellow although you change to yellow. There's something I learned when I was like 5 years old. I had this weird toy. I was in the back seat of my dad's car, and we're driving in the middle of the night, and I had this, toy car, and the toy car was blue, right? But during night, we had these yellow lights during the highway, and the toy car looked black. I was, man, how can it be black? Well, now I know, right? So thing is, the second kind of concept when it comes to surreal art is wide angle, all right? And what is that? Well, if you click on the camera here, all right, let me just select spot render, not to use it, but to skip that annoying yellow flashing thing, right? Wide camera means that you zoom out. So right click here to zoom out, all right? You can also, in parameter tab, when you have the camera selected, lower the focal length, right? What that does, it gives the scene a more expanded look. It's kind of like wide, all right? And that exaggerates, as you can see, this line here, it becomes really distorted almost, right? When it's close to camera. And especially here, when you have the camera low, you can get really funky looking stuff because it's, it becomes really distorted and weird looking, just by definition, right? Also, when you get closer to items, they become really distorted, right? They become kind of weird looking just because you are using wide angle, right? It's like, man, really distorted, super distorted, right? And that on its own can contribute to having really cool, surreal look and feel. And I mean, if you grab that and move away from that look and zoom in, you see immediately it's not as surreal looking. This starts to be more like a pretty shot, suddenly, right? It's not as weird because as opposed to wide angle that distorts, right? Zoomed in is vice versa. It kind of feels more boxed in and kind of plain looking, right? As opposed to zooming out and being close and really exaggerating distances. You can really make things really odd looking that way. Which brings us to number 3, which is, ta-da, it's very simple, is to add a kind of Z rotation angle to your camera. So you click on camera, go to parameter tab, and up here you got something called Z rotate. And Z rotate simply angles the camera or tilts it, right? And that is another thing you can use to make it look more surreal. I mean, it just becomes a totally different thing, right? And sometimes you can go nuts and start really create really weird looking stuff just by rotating the camera, right? And like I said, in step 2, you can be low on the ground to further, expand on this effect, because low on the ground expands the stuff that happened above, right? So it becomes really like an additional realm, so to speak. Also, high cameras can also achieve the same effect. All right, so basically, guys, that's it. That's the 3 keys, right? Bright colors, weird patterns, zoomed out camera, which is a wide angle camera, and then put a Z rotation on the camera. So guys, that's the simplest, quick 3 keys to surreal art, right? And go ahead, check out my new prop at DAZ. And as always, there's more free stuff below, right? Go check them out, including our $1 7-day trial to Super 3 Art Quick Start. Now, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for following this channel. Thanks so much for looking at the videos. And I see you soon again.